So perhaps they're happy to take that, given that they had a bit of a scare on Mirage. I mean, they were commanding quite a big lead there leading into the half. So to see that diminish, certainly their confidence will be taking somewhat of a hit. So if they are as well drilled on the T side as I do believe they are, I wouldn't be surprised to see them take T.
Have you had a chance to check out the new skins in the Revolver case yet? Thoughts?
I haven't actually. Unfortunately, I had to go straight to bed after last night's cast and didn't really get a chance to play the new patch per se. I certainly read about it all day on the forums and saw all the little clips of people just going absolutely ham with the Revolver. I mean, I'm kind of keen to get involved and just experience it, but apparently I've been told to steer well away from it.
Well, I think a few trusty heads nearby, perhaps already having to jump and recognising that perhaps isn't something that you want to test out just yet in servers for the time being. But the teams are now readying up, which is good, and we're going into what will be the final match of this series.
The final knife round.
The final knife round. The final everything, really.
It's just the grand finale here. The Counterpit OCE League. Of course, joining me here tonight is PK Noodle. You can find him on Twitter at PK Noodle. Find myself on Twitter as well at Deep Gympact. I'm Jimenezzo. And this has been an absolute pleasure this season. The final knife round of Counterpit OCE, and they're not messing about. And geez, scenes here similar to perhaps some sort of Spartan warfare.
I'm just honestly surprised Buster hasn't pulled out his USP and started shooting people. That's something we saw earlier on in the season on knife rounds where Buster was using his pistol. This time he has opted to keep the knife out. It's probably best in the sake of fairness, but it does surprise me.
It does surprise you?
Yeah, it does.
I think it was Trident he actually shot in the head.
Trident, he shot someone in the head on the knife round.
He's not a fan
with
of
no objection. No objection at all.
He is straight and narrow, Buster. 16k, I believe, it won't even be a pistol round in this match.
I think there's probably will be. I think they're probably just waiting to ready up, but it could be right. But as it is, Legacy will have their choice of sides, and we'll see them starting out on the counter-terror side. So as we begin and end what has been a fantastic season, and this is now, of course, the final match, allow me to set the scene here. Legacy, the second map. They've already played the first. They have won Mirage in double overtime. It was an epic thriller in a match that really didn't mean much in the context of the season, given that Immunity have already won. But now as we move into Cobble, they will want to claim the 2-0 victory and claim the pride of beating Exile5, a prestigious organisation. You can see a nice smoke grenade there from Buster. We'll slow down that aggression there that perhaps Exile5 for a moment were thinking about showing. But they're gone for quite a split approach at the moment. Diggs very close to those mid doors and did have STV for support, but he's now backing up towards B, so suggests to me that some sort of B execute is on the cards here. And Ferg, holding 2 flashes and a smoke in his backpack, suggests to me that that will probably be put to good use here in the drop room, as we can see him crouched up above. So get ready, prepare yourselves, because Mizu and Buster are shortly going to find themselves on the receiving end, I think, of an X5 attack.
But Mizu has the dualies, and he's ready. And already fired off a few shots, but that has already been triggered. Now they are into this Skyfall area and they are going to hit this B site. Already Pex putting someone under pressure, picking up a frag but not able to pick up the double there. Side, the coach, contributing with a single frag, but not before he's quickly traded out by STV. And that drop room presence, Diggs just swindling in that smoke the entire time, working out perfectly because that was going to be the place where they had to fight from. So perfectly executed pistol there from XL5. Legacy just investing in some pistols in this round now.
Yeah, I love the way they smoked off, or Ferg in particular, smoked off the window side of the drop room. It really just allowed his forces to concentrate on busting out and taking that B side and trying to catch a few of the CTs off guard, and they certainly did that. But good use of utility, being the only player with utility on his team, it was important that he put it to good use and did just that. You can see Offnoon intent on taking a little bit of a battle, but at the moment he's the only one taking damage as he's down to 20 health points, and no one from X5 even hurt to speak of. But you can see Mizu ever so close to the oncoming members of Exile5, somehow gets away off the platform, eventually put out of his mercy there by Dans, but Raz doing a fantastic job of putting that long range USP to good use. Does get that revenge frag, still in a 4-on-4 situation, and whilst he might now fall, it's given his team at least a little chance at this round of perhaps claiming another frag or two, if not the dream of getting the round win. But Pex isn't having any of that at the moment as he does take down Offnu, and Diggs follows suit shortly after, and the coach holding the clipboard will find himself the last surviving member.
That's it, and he's going to need to inspire his players here as he does pick up the first frag on STV, and they all know his position now, and they are looking like hunting. Well, they're just being told to back off a little bit. They don't really want to hand him too many guns, and Cyber's just going to hold a position here, known in the community now as Hogwarts. As you can see, the banners just proudly displayed there on the wall. Look at it, it's a grand structure. But Cyber's just utilising it to hide himself, and does survive the round.
One of my fondest memories of Australian Counter-Strike was when we were in a scrim gym playing a person called Magic Man who was hiding at Hogwarts. Oh, it was so fitting. I remember that day until I die.
Until you die, the Magic Man at Hogwarts. The wizardry.
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, it was perfect. I don't think we won that match, though.
No.
But we can see Legacy here. They're not winning at the moment, Jim, and what a segue that is, because they're down 2-0. They are on an eco at the moment. You can see Saib, I mean, he saved that armor, so that'll perhaps serve him well. He does have a 5-7. The rest of his team, though, probably on the lighter side of investment, if at all. You can see that boost. Putting one member up near the tree, but Pex very aggressive. Catches two, making a third as well. So he's doing a fantastic job of not just fragging, but getting the frags very quickly. It's down to a 4-on-2 situation, and both members of the surviving Legacy over towards the A side, so not even near the bomb, but Pex isn't waiting for them. He's going for some more. Can he get the fourth? He does spot one out. Takes a little bit of damage there, so the strafing in and out works quite well for Offnu as hides behind the security van. It does provide him some security in that sense, but shortly you'd have to imagine he would fall down. Perhaps otherwise, though, as he takes down another member. So Dance, the security van, claims its second victim for the round, and Offnu runs away to safety.
Yeah, Offnu just swindling his way through. I mean, only still has a USP. Ideally, he'd be looking for a gun there, and STV recognises that and is just sitting guard over it. But unfortunately, Offnu just caught out there, not able to get the gun that he so desperately desired. And STV standing over, making sure that isn't the case. But 3-0 score, Exile5. Gun round to come from Legacy, should I say.
So you should. Now we actually see Raz here pulling out the AWP instead of Buster. Buster renowned for Orby on the CT side. That's certainly normally the role that he takes. You can see Pex there getting a love tap, as Jim loves to refer to it. Someone slashing away a little bit into one of his muscles there on the rear side of him. But he's down to 87 health points, and in Exile5, the pace instantly you can tell it's quite slow because they really haven't gained much map control. They've got 3 now towards the A side as Pex does retreat to help them out, and 2 watching the B halls, I think, splitting up between the Skyfall and the Plateau areas respectively, or perhaps both working together here. Looks as though they're trying to sell some sort of a fake in the sense that Dan's is very aggressive, does take a HE grenade, but does more importantly gain that map territory that and the safety that that box can offer you, but not too much of battle in the sense that Raz does pick him off with the AWP there and is Offnu. A lot of pressure on his shoulders there as one of the sole members of Legacy at the A side, and no real backup to speak of, so he did well in getting 1 frag, but does get taken down as he had to worry about 2 choke points at once. The players now, though, Legacy, they will rotate back towards A. I think Offnu would have realised and recognised the fact that there are more members there of aggression to be careful of. Saib, the coach, well positioned, will take down 1. The AWP has fallen, STV does drop it, but Diggs does recover it. They're moving into the site now, it's to 2-on-3. Both of the choke points smoked off quite well, so it should allow them to get into the site. Does help, and Pex is getting those AWP frags as well, but Mizu with his first few shots eventually, though, stands up on the ledge and drops Pex beneath him to seal the deal and get a duo, but looked a bit sketchy there, but a good win in the end.
Yeah, good win in the end. Mizu just catching that fishing rod of Diggs there, just that AWP barrel poking around the corner of the wall and able to recognise he's there, pre-firing, but yeah, not quite traded the way he should have been in that situation. He should have been culled much earlier than that, but nonetheless, sketchy buy coming in as we see Buster with that Mag 7. I don't know if that was a deliberate choice or an economic choice. Just quickly check that. Definitely an economic choice in that situation, but nonetheless, he's in that drop room there and he's tasked with defending that, so Mag 7 provides not only a monetary incentive, but it's just recognising that Exile5 will probably be on an eco as well, so good work from him there. Recognising the money situation, but in the meantime, action here in the drop room as both of them fall. Buster does pick up that frag we spoke about, and now Diggs at the drop room there on the lurk and does pick up a frag. Offnu falling there, that AWP going down more importantly than anything else, and Raz finally able to clean things up they do maintain that double AWP set up there with Buster just holding onto the shotgun, and Legacy just claw their way back in.
I think Saab was a little bit lucky there to survive almost. You saw Diggs that was busting through the doors. He caught one member off guard, nearly got Saab. I think he was down to about 20 health points, and I could have just seen that round going the other way had Saab fallen over then, so it would have left it in a 2-on-2 situation. But in the end, Legacy doing a good job to close it out. Like you said, they've got a heavy investment here. They've got 2 AWPs in hand in the hands of Buster and Raz, as we see Dan's miss his flash grenade there, which would have been used to try and slow down the CTs moving towards the B side. Buster, meanwhile, has other ideas as he gets a frag at A and really relieves some of the pressure off Legacy. Can see them now, I think, going for a boost at the back of the site, getting one member up onto the plateau. Mizu doing the handiwork there and getting his teammate on his shoulders, on his head, and on the plateau. They are now well positioned here to defend this B attack. As you can see, Raz with the AWP in hand does miss his shot though. Takes a little bit of a damage as a result, but Dan's quickly backs off, recognising the threat that Raz does pose there. And as they head back towards A, you can see on the overlay that only Buster is there waiting. So it'll be important that Side perhaps recognises and communicates with Ofnu, who are both watching the same choke point there at the drop room, that potentially it is safe and fine for Side to fall. Pex is doing a great job at the moment of putting a lot of pressure there though, so it's not really allowing Side to fall. You can see that he's still almost committed to watching the window. He's almost transfixed at the moment on the pressure that Pex has applied. Ofnu's fallen back, so there's really no one with vision, and as Buster, the sole member on the A side here, it's important that X5 commit very, very quickly here. That fake, it happened too long ago. They're taking a little bit too long now to move, but Pex does a good job, gets 2 frags. That's really going to put a thorn in the side of Legacy here now. That'll slow down their rotation, and also perhaps that potential of getting frags in the back is very real for them. And as he gets his 3rd for the round, it's quite fitting that he's the man to close the deal for them.
And that he does. So Exile5 just showing that the terrorists are well capable of overrunning that site. They did have that lurk there in the mid-con, and that proved to be absolutely deadly. So good use of that drop room there from Exile5. Opting to use it late in the round. But now, Legacy just on a bit of a pistol buy, force, if you will. So did take the contest early on. Diggs takes a lot of damage to that door, more than his counterpart on the other side, as Mizu showing his best Michael Flatley impression there as he dances around with that 5-7, picking up the frag, and they're going to try and defend this gun. Ferg, in doing so, actually falls to Mizu as well, and they're going to continue to push through and try and get these guns and maintain a little bit of map control in doing so as well. XL5 really on the back foot early on in this round.
Yeah, they've done a great job, haven't they, Legacy, in terms of putting a lot of pressure. They've recovered 2 AKs now, and you can see that really they haven't taken much damage at all. Both of the AKs are on full HP. Only Saib's the only one who's actually taken a bullet to perhaps his body at all. Down on 75 HP at the moment. And XL5, they will now regroup. But really, it's starting to look situation critical for them in the sense of this round. Ofnu should get an early spot down there. It's a good position at the top of mid. Gets some information without putting himself at too much risk. He will now fall off into the back of the A side on the back of getting that information. Perhaps relay it to his team, but as of yet, no rotation coming in, so XL5 getting quite deep into the site here before any sort of reaction from Legacy. Pex leading the charge through the stables. Will have the peace of mind to check the cannons. Does drop one, does get the second in the site. Pex is fragging really well here on the second map at the moment, making the key frags when needed. Should get the 3rd there and does as well as he strafes around the back of the stables. And Buster, the last man alive. Can he finally silence Pex, or will Pex get the quad kill? Yet to be seen. It does look as though the quad kill dream is real, as eventually the Glock burst fire finds its target.
That it does, and great little piece of work there from Pex. Just, I know they were eco, but still, some sharp work with him with that AK in that A site, just instantly controlling that spray. Obviously the new updates to recoil not really affecting him as much as some other players. He's really quite on top of it, and that comes from playing this patch, I guess, that understanding of how the recoil now works.
That's right. I mean, the patch has only been out now for, about a day or a day and a half, so there's not much playing time available to the players in that sense, but certainly doing a fantastic job at the moment, especially in recent rounds of getting those frags. As poor old Jim hacks up a lung there, which you might have heard on the stream. But we do see Ofnu does get that early frag in the A-halls. I think that's the second time we've seen Legacy getting that early frag. Buster earlier on it was in a previous round that did the same thing with an AWP, so they're proving a menace with that early A aggression. I think that's really scaring XL5 because they're very hesitant now. They always seem to take their time clearing out these A-halls. Despite having so many numbers sent that way, you can see at the moment there's still 3 surviving members. There were 4 before. Pexo with the good timing there onto Offnu, who had to rotate between two choke points again. It's not the first time I've said that, but Pex, he's really standing up at the moment, and as Ferg makes his presence known there off the back of a frag onto Mizu, that will slow down the rotation. Legacy caught in the middle of no man's land. They need to go A, but they're wary of the presence at mid. You can see now they've almost decided to save their guns and just try and eliminate Ferg in this instance. They've given up all hope for the rounds. They're now just trying to eliminate this threat and then save their guns, but the threat perhaps is coming from inside the team. The coach has taken down Buster.
The
As
infiltrator.
Jim grimaces, I think his teammates there will be grimacing, and Saib might need to justify why he was called into action as a player.
Yeah, the coach coming under a little bit of pressure there, putting his teammates in the firing line, quite literally. And now, Saib just having to save this gun here and probably doing a little bit of explaining to Buster as well as to why he needed to put him to the sword.
I think in all honesty, knowing these Legacy players, their reaction to Saib TKing Buster was probably of joint laughter and hilarity at the fact that their coach had just killed one of their own. I think that they would have taken that in their stride. They're a great bunch who get on really well with each other and have a great rapport. They really pride themselves on having that sense of humour, so I think they'll be able to laugh that off without too much heartache.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be the case with these guys. As now we see Legacy on an eco round as a result of losing those early men. Saib in a good position here. Does do a lot of damage to Pex. Not able to get the frag nonetheless, and will be chased out of that area. In fact, we'll have a Gren lopped on top of his head, and in the meantime, Ferg and Dan's just taking control of that platform at B. Really opening things up here. Diggs on the flank. Just making sure they're not going to get taken from the back. And now Ferg just fighting hard at that platform, and it was just an easy pincer on the side after that.
Yeah, they're looking really strong at the moment. I know, of course, Legacy were eco that round. I'm not sure. I was just thinking in my mind just then. I was wondering perhaps in that situation that Saib did save that rifle, whether I would have gone with that strategy of trying to boost him up and catch one member off guard. I'm just thinking it's quite susceptible to a lot of nades getting thrown your way, especially given how narrow the choke point can be. So sometimes you can take really a lot of surplus damage without necessarily having the opportunity to frag. Probably I'm okay with it now that I think about it more, but you can see he did cop a lot of nades. But they are now moving towards BDN, putting a lot of pressure on the CTs. I always love saying that word because it always tends to lead to good things for the team applying it. You can see Mizu here with the smokes that have been laid down by the terrorists. He's really not too sure how far they've advanced. You can see that he's quite bold in the sense that he had the Molotov in his hands for a little bit too long for my liking. The smoke actually dissipated before he threw it, so could have been caught off guard there. Obviously, as it turned out, he wasn't. But he will now lay down another smoke and a little bit deeper. This is better from a CT perspective because it allows him to potentially get on the platform if he likes and position himself at the back of the plateau. But we can see here that Exile5's intent for the time being does look to be the A site. But we've already pointed out, Jim, how slow they've been in the past of taking the A-halls. It looks quite similar here now.
They're off now, just ready. You can hear them coming through those A-holes there in his position. It's been found out by Pex there. Pex just too sharp in that instance, taking that frag and removing Offnu's head. Now, Legacy just scrambling here, that rotation. Ferg is still harassing that drop room before Buster finally gets one up on his counterpart. Some old heads clashing there as Raz gets a bit too adventurous at the top of mid, overestimating how many T's were there, and now Mizu doesn't know where STV is, but in the meantime Diggs is getting that bomb down and will now have to go 1-on-2. Buster is so crucially low, and the worst thing they can do in this situation is line up as Diggs does fall there. Buster, great work on such low HP. 5 HP, not taking any damage. Additionally, they're just getting the pounce on Diggs. So, Legacy getting a much needed round as they are falling fast behind.
Yeah, the crucial frag for me, apart from obviously the entry from Pex, was that missed opportunity by Ferg in the drop room. I think the CTs were aware of his presence though, because he actually had done a similar lurk in the previous round, so they're definitely aware of the threat. But if he had made that frag, it would have really stalled that rotation from Legacy from the B side towards the A side. As it was, he got the player ever so low. It might have even been Buster. I'm not quite sure from memory which player it was, but that nearly made frag could have turned the tides that instance.
Yeah, just beaten within an inch of getting that frag. Now, both teams on a gun round here, and early pressure from Exile5 on this B platform, as we can see that bomb is actually making its way down there. Raz, though, opens the exchange and takes STV down, and the set smokes are going to come in from Exile5 on this site, and they're going to take a while to set up, though, because they are taking the high road with those there. And finally, though, out on that platform, Mizu does a lot of damage. They didn't check that corner and left him there. It was all too easy for Mizu, shooting one in the back. Not able to get the third, though. He did take two. Now, Diggs left alone on that platform there. Just having to fall back. He still has a little bit of time on the clock, I guess. That's his only saving grace, but he's going to try and take a fight here at B and get himself a bit of a pick if he can try. All members of Legacy, though, they're not really cottoning on. They're not really going to fall into this at all. And Raz simply takes him down himself, holding that line passively and getting the frag all too easily.
Yeah, I think there the key for me was we did see Mizu get those two frags from the back to the plateau, but it was really the hard work of Raz that set him up, to the extent that Raz did get that opening frag with the AWP near the B plateau, and I think it almost fixated the attention there of Exile5 onto Raz and his positioning. They weren't suspecting perhaps Mizu might be hiding or goblining, as it's otherwise known here in Australia, at the back of the plateau there. And great work by Raz. I think he probably had a hand in both of those frags he did get. But you can see here the intent of Exile5 as they are moving very quickly again, trying to set up those same smokes. They've almost run straight to those positions, and I think at Legacy, I'm not sure if they're quite onto it because they're almost too fixated on Boosty at the moment that they might not have seen those nades going over the wall. They can see it now, of course, but Raz opening frag onto Ferg there. Call will be made to rotate. At the moment, the bomb has been dropped. I'm just wondering whether perhaps Raz might have seen that as he got that frag, because it's actually slowed down the terrorist here. They are now moving now. Dans and STV do drop one there near the tree, so Mizu has fallen. Crucially, they've managed to get all three members into the site, but they are at a man disadvantage here. They need to make the frags, but they don't do that. Actually fall over almost as one there. Three go down at once, and Legacy claim another round.
Raz, he's a stegler for that chicken coop. Just holding it very strong there. They did sell that fake at A and cause a miniature rotation out of B, nearly catching Legacy off guard, so not a bad strategy. I just think they didn't make the frags when they needed to, and they had the opportunity to shoot a few members of Legacy rotating out that site in the back. But now, Exile5 will be on the eco here as Saib. The coach puts in work. Unfortunately, his run is cut short as Buster now is contending with a few terrorists in mid. Will be forced to retreat, though, to the vent room and will not opt to break the vent. Offnu, though, is doing some great work covering for his teammates' absence. And now, Buster knows where that bomb is. They do have it down, and Mizu does a great job in backing his teammate up there through the A site. All too easy there for Legacy, should I say. Exile5 doing a little bit of damage, though, with those pistols.
Yeah, Saib got caught off quite early at the bottom of mid, didn't he? I mean, that was a gun that he sacrificed. Perhaps a little bit too close quarters for the fact that Exile5 were on eco. I'm not sure if perhaps they made the right read or recognised that Exile5 would have been on eco, though. That's the only caveat I'd put on that. You can see Raz here, though, trying to get that aggressive pick with the AWP on this gun round. Does get flashback, though, so good use of a flash grenade there from Exile5. The investment they're paying off in the fact that it's pushed Raz back and made him play a little bit more defensive. Legacy, though, they've actually stacked 4 members towards the B side, so whilst Exile5 slowly make their way towards A, there's going to be a lot of pressure here on Raz in the A side halls to try and shut down this attack on his own. You can see he's well positioned, does get the first. Nice headshot, had to flick downwards. Not always the easiest thing to do. He will now smoke and flash his way back out and try and reposition himself here. I'll be curious actually where he goes, whether it's through the connector to the mid area or perhaps at the back of A side. At the moment, it's almost no man's land where he's almost just swapped positions with Saib, who now goes to take the A hall. So Raz has fallen. I'm wondering whether they'll have the peace of mind to check the side halls. They don't. Saib does get the drop on Diggs there. Gets a second, so the coach putting in work, trying to make up for the TK a few rounds ago. He'll be doing his best effort here to try and clean up the third, but Offnu, he gets in there first and does take down Dan. So 7-all Legacy. They've done well for themselves here at the latter end of this half. They have strung 5 rounds in a row together.
That they have, and really just squashed any momentum Exile5 were building there with that great early start. Exile5 will be trying to recapture some of that form in this last round of the half, but you just get the feeling that Legacy are really starting to wake up. I mean, the coach is putting up some numbers too, so every member of Legacy contributing. We do see them straight in that room as STV, 1 HP, makes it just through the flames in the nick of time, but stopped in his tracks there. Dans is trapped on this platform though, and you get the feeling if he pops his head up, he might be taken out there as he has to make his way, make a dash back through the flames. In the meantime, Diggs is getting onto A side. The coach though, he's not having any of that, taking 2 of their heads for the price of 1 in that nice, well-controlled double burst. There's all to do here for Dance. He's only got 17 HP to boot. He's found a good position though, but Mizu, just, again, Michael Flatley reincarnated.
I know we spoke about that momentum and the strong start that X5 had. I'm just wondering in my own mind whether potentially that was a sign of the team functioning really well, or whether it was the fact that Pex was really just playing that well and out of his skin, because he's got 17 frags at the moment. I swear most of those 17 frags, though, came in the first 7 to 8 rounds of the half before Legacy started to go on a roll. I'm thinking that perhaps the 7 rounds in which Exile5 was able to ultimately get out of that half was more a reflection that Pex was just winning them rounds single-handedly. We saw multiple 3Ks and 4Ks from him with those entry frags as well. So they were really important frags opening up the bond sites. And you could just see at the end of the half when perhaps Legacy were able to, I guess, silence him a little bit better. That's when X5 really started to struggle, because they didn't have this young gun blazing away and opening up sites for them. They had to do it the hard way and grind out the victories, and just didn't end up that way.
Exactly right, but they're fighting a long battle here. As we said, the map is slightly terrorist favoured, I would believe now. At least it comes down to who controls that drop room the best. I believe that is certainly the key to this map. So that's, I think, where Legacy have the slight advantage. They do a great job of doing just that, and their B executes are actually quite impressive. So I think it's just a case of Saib having to emulate the role that Moku does play in the team.
Now, the last time we watched Legacy play, they absolutely brutalized the B side on the terrorist side of Cobble. They barely stopped running for the entire half, so I'm expecting something very fast from them towards the B side on the pistol, if not the majority of the rounds. You can see Mizu throwing a decoy grenade, trying to draw the attention away from B, but we're not fooled. We can see, and as often drops Diggs there, who was actually set up on the head of one of his teammates, trying to get that early peek. Didn't eventuate for much, and they will now bust onto the B side as perhaps expected, and they're doing a fantastic job here of really taking their battles one at a time. Pex, though, from the chicken coop, and quite fitting that Raz does drop him. We pointed out that Raz does spend quite a lot of his time on CT in that very spot himself, and finds his way back there again now, but Offnu, with the Tech 9 in hand and the armor, proving how much of a menace that can be. And Legacy claim the pistol, and I expect that now as they move on to these anti-eco rounds, so we're about to see something just as, if not faster.
Yeah, they've been known to really keep the tempo quite high in his anti-ecos, because the CTs really don't have the utility to deal with such a fast flow of action. So we will see Exile5 buy to counter it, and at least Ferg has a smoke and a flash, but I mean, he's well away from the action at the moment. He's in those A holes, and we'll be trying to find some close quarters position to utilize that shotgun to the fullest. But in the meantime, often just getting a lot of information out of that B site. As we said, he is the team's in-game leader and the team's lurker most often. And Pex does manage to get through that smoke there, but doesn't get the frag. Offnu smack 10ing him, drive-buying per se. This Ferg actually does find a frag with that shotgun, so justified in using it somewhere in those A holes. And oh, STV crushing Offnu, stopping him dead in his tracks there, and they're going to be collapsed on here. The coach needs to really pull for his team, as Dance is in here on the flank, does choose his moment to shoot, does get a frag, and it's all too easy from there for Legacy, or Exile5, as Legacy just get pincered from both sides, crushed.
Well, that's right. I guess we were talking up how aggressive they can be, and from what we've seen of them, how aggressive they normally are, but we didn't see that round, did we? And we saw what the consequence was, in the sense that they were getting picked apart all over the map. Actually, I think had a couple of members at B halls and a couple of members at A, but as Dance in particular, so I think he might have finished with 2 frags, but a couple of assists as well, perhaps. He really wreaked havoc on the team there, and I think that's really going to unsettle Legacy in the fact that they'll be asking themselves what went wrong. I think they went away from their default gameplay, is the answer to that question. We can see that they are on eco now. They do have 2 flashes, at least in the hands of Offnu. Also, is rocking a Tech 9, but no armor to speak of, so they need to be very wary of the fact that aim punch is a very real prospect. They need to make the shots before they get tagged, but STV, probably the best tagging done in the sense that it has 50 bullets, does get 2. Buster eventually silences him, but as Offnu recovers the gun of Buster, it's not going to be enough. Well, not the gun of Buster, but the gun that was in the hands of STV, I should say. But in any case, Exile5 keeping it relatively clean, only losing 1 member, and now level the scores again at 9 all. Now, curious to see what Legacy do with their financial situation here. Will they buy or will they eco?
Yeah, I'm curious to see that as well. I mean, they are going to go for the pistol buy by the looks of things. They're not really investing anything other than a flash and a smoke. among a few members, but looks to be they are going to try something here in the drop room and smoke themselves out perhaps and just focus on hitting that B site. So they're going to have to wait out a few Molotovs here. Good early use of utility, just driving them back there. The coach getting his toes burnt in that drop room now. STV is ready and on point, but Mizu just checking for any potential flank there. Now that smoke again is just going to delay things a little bit further. Legacy just itching to get something happening here in this round, and they are going to send 3 on that platform. Offnu there is going to marshal these troops. That smoke is going to execute on this site. Mizu though has used his flash a few times before and pop flash himself into the room. He does actually catch someone off guard with that, but STV is the one to fall, and Dan's just holding strong, combining with Diggs quite well in that site and just cleaning up everything.
Yeah, nice 4K from Dance there. Did a really good job of keeping his distance and staying quite calm. That's definitely what it looked like when you're watching from his perspective there, as he was just tapping away on the heads of the oncoming members of Legacy. But we will now move into the first gun round. Curious to see whether perhaps they might pull out one of these famed and fabled set B executes that we speak of. Certainly something they showed in previous games on Cobblestone, something they put a lot of time into as well. You can see at the moment Mizu trying to get to that close advanced position in the B plateau area, and his teammates not far behind, and it does look like they have a B attack in mind as they do throw a few other grenades, and really, I think just setting themselves up for something to come here.
Yeah, Pex is just, he's anxious. He's not even waiting for that smoke to dissipate. Flashes himself through, catches one, but not really able to catch a second. He is replaced though on that platform, so good work from his teammates there. But Legacy for the moment are just forced to hold back and wait for any other potential pushes to come as a result of this. Now, I do believe on the platform there it is Dan, so quickly recognising that his teammate has been eliminated and the chance for them to potentially not even check that spot once again. But that Molotov though is going to spread and eventually drive him out of that position, I'd say. Well, no, it isn't. His teammate's actually going to be the one to do the damage with the grenade. As now Dan's does take one frag there, uses all his bullets, and unfortunately there his run is ended by Mizu. Mizu actually picking up a double on it to this site as they collapse from the drop room as well, and now the HPs are certainly low, but STV is not to realise that and will be forced to save this AWP.
I've honestly got no idea why Dan's just stepped out then. He had Diggs baiting perfectly for him just below the little cutout part of the B plateau, and really all he needed to do was bide his time and would have had a couple of easy frags in the back. There was no way they were going to check Dan's position. All I can think of is that perhaps that one member who was coming through the drop room might have been posing too big of a risk to Dan's and Diggs there in the B side, that they decided as a team to step on the B plateau and try and eliminate one side of the attack. But I'm still... that would surprise me. I still think that perhaps Dan's just took it upon himself to step there, from what I could tell.
Yeah, I dare say he did. Now, obviously, that had dire consequences, and probably didn't get as many frags as he potentially could have there. Now, just fix that back up as I jump back in game. So, a little bug that I fixed.
Oh, well done, Jim.
Oh no, magic. Perfectionist right down to the very last match. And this is the last match in the Counterpit OCE League. And it's certainly a very close one. Just so the first map actually go to overtime, in which Legacy just snuffed out their opposition narrowly in a double overtime, in fact. And this match again is very, very close. 10-all the score. Saib opening up the account, the coach putting in work, having to sub in for Moku, and setting his team up.
It was a massive frag because I think STV, the man who fell, actually had an AWP as well. So I think Third perhaps might be on his way over there to try and recover that gun, or at least establish some sort of A presence again. But winning that duel with just an AK is massive, let alone the fact that he's the coach of the team. But Third will push through, catches Offnu in the back, but we can see that the attack will be coming towards B now. Given how far away Third is, it will be the 4 remaining members of Legacy against just the 3 site defenders of Team Exile5. There's no support just yet. They don't have to do it solo in that sense. Buster does lead the charge, but Side's doing a fantastic job at the moment, as is Buster, as he actually picks out Diggs through the little corner of the smoke there that was just showing his head too much. So Dan's does get one, but the bomb has been planted. We're down to a 2-on-2 now, actually, as he picks up a second frag. So he's doing really well this round. Third, Dan's, they don't have to reclaim this site. Dan's picks up his third, actually. I keep saying his name, and he keeps getting frags. Bomb has been tapped. They know the positioning of Raz here. That smoke does go down to try and cover the bomb, but Third isn't having a piece of it anyway. He just decides to get the frag in. Great retake. I think that was perhaps a 2-on-3, if not a 2-on-4.
Yeah, great work in that retake there. Dan's doing a lot of the work and just spotting out the final position of Raz. That Molotov really just forcing his hand. He had to peek. He couldn't sit there behind the flames and just be content in burning. Now, that smoke will actually be lined up on the B platform. So, interesting city smoke there as you see the overlay of it coming in. I think he's just slightly misaligned it there, but Dan's now in key position. Ferg, though, does fall early to Sybe, so the coach putting up numbers at the other end of the map, and the bulk of Legacy are just sitting in that B gauntlet, as we call it. If anyone remembers the gauntlet from Gladiators, that is certainly what we drew inspiration from, the TV show, that is.
We can see Exile5, like you say, they were thinking about going B very early on in the round. They actually headed towards that gauntlet very, very early, but I'm just wondering whether that perhaps that single smoke that we spoke of earlier was enough to scare them away, because their presence has now slowed down. Actually heading back towards A now with 3 members, so perhaps we might see a B fake coming a little bit later on, trying to manipulate some of the rotations. But the positioning of the CTs is what interests me, is Dan's does fall at B, but look at the other members of X5, they're all stacked towards the A site. I'm not sure if they've just made the most incredible read of 2015, that it was actually a B fake, because all 3 members are there to greet the fake. As it is, as we do see Mizu and some of his teammates in the form of Sybe move out on towards A, the bomb has now doubled back off the back of the success that they had earlier at B, and the fact that Buster and Ofnu would have been communicating that B was empty. Strange positioning there from Exile5 though, having 3 of their 4 members in A. Normally on Cobble, if you are going to gamble, you'd be gambling on the B side. Really, really unconventional.
Well, they made the right read there. It's just that the over-rotation left them really open to that lurk from the drop room. So, Legacy were really doing a good job there. I mean, obviously, Exile5 made that read, but that counter from Legacy was just on point. And now that forces the eco round from Exile5. That drop room there is being defended by Pex. Now, does take a first frag, doesn't quite find a second there. Sybe doing the coach's job in getting another frag as well. So he's doing a good job getting into the site and getting his hands dirty with the team, not just holding the clipboard per se, but now STV has good position behind him, but really isn't in a position to do a lot, as he does do a bit of damage to Ofnu. Ofnu responding though, not letting him get that frag.
Yeah, this has actually been a fantastic match and a fantastic series when we think of it. I was just reminiscing back, like you said, we actually saw a double OT match previously on Mirage. You can just tell at the moment, as we have another close down on our hands, how much these teams desperately want to win. That's really what's shining through. It's a bit of a shame, of course, Moku isn't here to finish on a high note with his teammates, because it's certainly been a fantastic season from Legacy, but definitely Sybe doing a great job at the moment, stepping in. We can see Exile5 again on pistol round, trying to build up that economy. That's the danger, I guess, of sometimes when you're winning and losing rounds on CT. It can be very difficult to build up that economy to be able to afford the weapons. Buster, though, lays down a great smoke there and will allow him to get behind the box. STV, though, we just see him strafe away at just the wrong time. Of course, he's not to know that, but Buster just narrowly, I think, just pestering the B side. But we can see the attack will come towards A, and they now know that STV and his teammates in Exile5 are on eco, but it's still proving a threat for them, as Ferg and Dan each get one, and really Sybe getting shot, not sure where from. You can see him dancing around, swiveling on the spot, and Buster finds himself now in a retake scenario in a 1-on-2, bomb down.
Yeah, bomb down, and now has to try and snuff out the remaining members of Exile5. Not too sure where they could be. I mean, their last communicated positions were somewhere in A. He's having to clear out mid and that A side as well, but he does find Pex and does force this 1v1 with Ferg, and Ferg just stepping on him there when he least expected it. Great work, great experience from the man hailing from France, or at least growing up there.
I'm not sure what Pex was doing there, to be honest. A 2-on-1, he almost sort of seemingly sprinted away at one point in time, and in the end Buster would have heard that and clicked on his head nice and easily, and Pex dropped without any sort of resistance there and put a lot of pressure on Ferg to seal the deal. But like you said, Ferg, one of the most experienced players in our scene, grew up playing Counter-Strike 1.6 in France, played for many teams such as Against All Authority, Hostile Records, Mushkin, I think Dimension 4 as well, so very experienced.
Against
now,
All
of course.
Authority.
Yeah, I said them. I think resides in Australia now, of course, so doing a fantastic job with Exile5, and really, I think, leading this team of youngsters back into this match, because they've just won an eco round. They can now easily afford to buy, and they're stopping this B attack in its tracks. Diggs there. First frag onto Raz, does take him down. Mizu does put out one member there in the form of Diggs behind the fountain. Does get taken down though, so good trading. Meanwhile, we see the exchange of frags with Dan's getting one apiece, but bowling by Pex does take down Mizu here. We're down to a 2-on-2 situation. Sybe on the lurk though. We've said his names a few times this half. He's not normally part of their core roster, but showing that he can still pack a punch at the moment. Does take down Third. We now find Pex. He's really in a trap scenario where he has to contend with 2 members from 2 different angles, and Ofnu as he strafes around will drop Pex. 13-12 Legacy getting close now to the victory.
Yeah, getting close, but did we just see a tactical timeout?
I think we haven't seen one of these, but I like the enthusiasm
like.
with which you're bringing that. But I'm just trying to remember, when was the last time we actually had a tactical pause? Like,
We didn't see
I
one
know
in
that
the
every
entirety
team
of last night.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like, every team I know they're allowed one, entitled to a 5-minute tactical pause, but we went 4 maps last night without seeing a single one. I think perhaps even a few maps the night before as well, so it's a rarity that we've seen so far in the matches.
Yeah, it is a rarity. It's good to see the teams actually taking the match, obviously, in terms of the context of the series or the bracket. It's not really anything but a dead rubber, but they're taking it seriously enough to take a tactical timeout. As you can see, it means a lot to the players to actually win this match. So in the context of our scene, as we said, this is really going a lot towards establishing rankings between the teams. And I'm not too sure I actually called the tactical timeout pause. It may have been on the Exile5 side of things, having been the team
It was.
now
It was.
behind.
It was Third.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, really taking the initiative there and really wanting to bring his team back into this. As we see, they're on a bit of an eco right now, but I think the discussion largely remain around what they actually do on this eco.
I think so, and then also I think just as importantly, what will they do on the next gun round? Because assuming Legacy can close out this anti-eco, which is a big assumption given the fact that we've just seen them lose one just before, it would be 14-12, and then Exile5 would purchase and try and win, I guess, 4 rounds in a row to take it in regulation time. But we'll see if Ferg and some of his teammates have anything tricky in mind, or perhaps a surprise that they can throw at Legacy this round. The unpauses have come in now, so we will resume the match. Ferg does have quite a lot of money in the context of his teammates. A lot of his teammates are around the $2,000 mark. Ferg currently rocking out at $4,300, so he's well positioned here perhaps to buy pistols for his team or even a few utility
That's
grenades.
what he did.
Yeah, I think that's how it eventuated, because we can see all 5 members with P250s and we know how dangerous they can be, but looks as though a sneaky little double boost is coming here. STV does get boosted up, but Mizu, I think, not quite aware at the time, but eventually as he strafed around, did catch the corner on the shoulder of STV. You can just see him putting a lot of work in. I'm not sure what strategy they talked through potentially for that round, but maybe it was just feed Mizu because he's got 4 frags and he is hunting for the 5th.
That he is. He is hungry. The man, the captain of this team. Also the youngest man in this team as well. Just leading by example. As Ferg gets found out there. So the pistol drop didn't exactly work out in the ideal scenario for Exile5, but they do have the gun round now, and that, I don't doubt that they discussed what they wanted to do in this particular round. So
yeah, you can see the AWP getting juggled around at the moment, so this is the first interesting discussion point for me, because Ferg purchased it, he did have the most money, but they've actually given it now to Diggs. We've seen actually STV AWPing for the majority of this match and the majority of tonight, so mixing things up a bit. Of course, Diggs is the secondary AWPer on the team, definitely proficient with the weapon, but Ferg a little bit too late out of spawn as a result of all that gun juggling has meant that he's late to mid. Often does capitalise with that very, very fast aggression towards the A ramp there, and Legacy in a strong position. All 5 members here, 4 coming through side halls, 1 from mid ramp itself as they do collapse on the A side, and Buster drops the head of STV, and all of a sudden things are in pear-shaped for X5. Certainly not what they would have wanted, especially after having just taken a tactical timeout to talk things through. That's a lot of words beginning with T. That is some alliteration for you right there, but they will now fall back. They will save their guns, and at 15-12, they're going to need 3 in a row to again potentially send us to another overtime.
you've really got to recognise the call from Legacy. They took a tactical timeout, recognising that the CTs were likely to make changes, adjusting to what they were currently doing. Legacy just gone and changed the game.
Yeah, I like the fast
tempo.
call. I like the fast call, but I think a big portion of that I'm still putting down to the fact that they were so late out of spawn on the CT side. I think it was a longer time than you would normally expect for a gun drop. I think they stood there for a little bit longer, perhaps really trying to work out who was going to take that off, be it STV or Diggs. But you can see that a couple of members have now fallen as the round expires. Dan's will be the only one who does save his rifle heading to what is potentially the last round here. Of course, Exile5 are going to have to force buy now. They've gone the hard road previously on Mirage. They had to fight back from 12-3 down at the halftime. They took it to overtime. They took it to a second overtime. So don't count them out just yet. They still have a lot of strong players in this team, and Dan's has really been on point in this match at the moment. He's leading on the scoreboard for his team with 23 frags, so they'll be happy with the fact that he has a rifle in hand, and we see the double boost there. Pex catching Raz off guard as he was trying to do the boost, and Dan's as he's doing the fadeaway with the double through the smoke, and all of a sudden, just as we said don't count them out, proves to be correct as they find themselves in a 3-on-2 situation. Sybe and Buster have managed to get one frag apiece though, to start to try and recover the situation, but Dan's the danger man still well positioned at the back of the plateau. Smoke is currently covering his tracks in the sense that the bomb is down, and Legacy are going to be a bit cautious in terms of recovering it.
Yeah, Ferg in a very precarious position here, as we see. We'll go back to him. Just look at how open he is potentially to anyone that comes around, but nonetheless, it's not going to be relevant at all, as they're going to make their way towards this B site and just taking the time, Molotoving things out. That core is going to come in. Ferg's going to move from his position there, as they do see two Molotovs make their way to the site. That's a way of telegraphing they are here. Buster, though, not able to get that opening frag. His teammate, Dan's, though, is, or should I say, his opposition, Dan's, picking that frag up and just keeping Exile5 in it for another round longer and wanting to force that overtime.
Massive 4K by Dan's. We can see that he's up to 27 frags on the scoreboard at the moment, so putting a lot of work in on this map. There's still 2 rounds to play still. X5 will be hoping it goes that distance, of course, because that would mean overtime. But the GoTV skipped a little bit, but fortunately we haven't missed too much, if anything at all, because all 10 players still alive. You can see the setup here for Exile5. They boosted Diggs, I should say, up next to the tree. Looks as though there's actually 4 members between them covering off on drop room and the B side at the moment. So definitely recognising that it can be a difficult site to hold and wanting to stack numbers there, but we can see the bomb making its way towards A. So whilst STV does actually pick up 2 frags, the main attack will be coming now towards the A site. They're going to need to make sure they hold strong and get the right rotations coming in. Mizu does give away his position, but crucially for his sake, does get that first frag onto Ferg himself, but STV proving such a menace to contend with as he gets his 3rd for the round. Does eventually get taken down there by Raz with the AWP, but 3-on-2 numbers advantage still in favour of Exile5. They need this round, but as Sybe spams through the smoke, I'm not sure if perhaps he just had a suspicion that Dan's was there, but it's left it in a 2-on-2 situation here. The pace now slows down.
That's it. They do just enter into that site, manage to navigate their way through the fire, and it's just Pex with a lot to do here. He needs to win this round to keep his team in this game. It's so finely balanced and just making his way to the site there. We'll come face to face with Sybe in just a moment. Takes him down. And we'll dance around this pole here. Raz needing to come up huge for his team. Does manage to do so. And that is the game. 2-0 for Legacy. Showing us that they are the stronger team there. But geez, they were close games. That first game going to overtime and this other one ending in a 16-13. Of course, that is the finale to the Counterpit OCE season.
Fantastic match there. Great note to finish on, even though in the context of the season, our winner had already been decided. You could tell how much it meant to both teams. I mean, that epic comeback on Mirage by Exile5, taking it to double overtime, and that close-knit game there on Cobblestone. I think it was a fine showing by both teams and a great match of Counter-Strike to end the season. But what a season it has been. I think we've had 15 BO2 matches with 6 of the best teams in the country across an 11-day period, which is equated, if the maths serves me right, to 30 maps in 11 days. So it's been action-packed. I think we're starting to feel the signs of the fatigue at the moment, to be honest. But it's been, yeah, he says that, but it's been an incredible opportunity, which we're so privileged to have had, and so privileged to be able to, I guess, broadcast and showcase some of the greatest talent in our scene on a global stage. Yeah,
of course. I've been, as much as you have, privileged to bring it all to you guys. Of course, if you want to stick around with us, we do regularly cover the OCE scene on our regular channel, the Peanut Gallery TV on Twitch. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Deep Gympact, myself, and at PK Noodle, my counterpart in the casting seat. And it's been an absolute blast. Of course, we've got a list of people to thank for allowing us to not only control the coverage, but also control what's been going and floating around people's headspaces for the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
That's right. I think it was a big mistake giving you control of having the music choice in between casts, but I know that you really relished the opportunity to be that, unleash that inner DJ in you. But no, in all sincerity, I'd just like to really thank, first of all the admins from Counterpit who have really helped us, put us in a position to be able to bring you guys at home this Counter-Strike action. I mean, it couldn't have been done without all the hard work from Dino, Peter, Gravity, the admin on the server, who's been giving up all his time every single night to help us make sure that all the players are comfortable and everything works for them. So thank you so much to those guys. Thank you to our casting counterparts. I know that O Gaming TV, some of those guys were broadcasting on the French stream. I think the Storm Studio provided the Russian commentary as well. Also, a massive personal shout out to some of the special guests that we've had in the form of RNG Sponge and RNG Gomez over the course of the 2 weeks, and also a massive shout out as well to Semler from Room on 5 for everything that he's done and giving us this opportunity, which we really appreciate.
Certainly echo everything you've said just there. A long list of people to thank, and we certainly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, and we appreciate every bit of feedback we've received as well. So, of course, to everyone watching and tuning in out there, thanks to you guys as well, and it's great to certainly expose Oceanic